Okay, welcome to the Simsbury Community for Care regular meeting of September 8th, 2021. We are going to start by taking a roll call so we all know who's here.
All right, this is Kristen Formanek, staff liaison from Community and Social Services. For roll call, if you can just acknowledge here if you're present for the audience out there in the live community. Amy Muska.
Here.
Cheryl Cook.
Here.
Candace Brohinsky. Chris Davis.
Here.
Deb Schwager.
I'm expecting her.
All right. Jean Ott.
Present.
Hannah Reynolds.
I think she resigned. Didn't she resign?
You know, I can't remember, so I'll have to double check on that. I think my list,
I think she did.
we'll double check on that. Heather Madonna. Karen Gallagher.
Here.
And then I have Katie Crusola, who is a school representative.
She was double booked at another meeting. So she was going to try to come on for the program, I think.
And then our Board of Selectmen representative, Wendy McStusis.
Nope.
Okay. Mark Lehman. Rich Holden. Rebecca Rosenthal.
She is not on it anymore either, I don't think.
Okay, I think maybe you and I need to sit down and go through the list because this group didn't meet for about a good year.
We did.
So
We've had a few months off.
we'll need to clean that up. Sally Reiger.
She contacted me. She's excused. Yeah.
And Sarah Gwynn. I see her. Well, I know that she's phoned in, so maybe she's just.
Yeah, I see her on the screen.
And Tom Steen.
Yep.
All right, thank you. Go ahead, Cheryl.
Kristen, do we have any public comments?
We do not.
Thank you. So welcome back, everybody. I hope everybody had a nice summer. It's nice to catch up a little bit with all of you. And I think that we have a really great program tonight. Our own Tom Steen has a really great program for us. It's not too long. It's very to the point, and I think you're really going to get a lot out of it. And we are going to talk about that a little more later. We have one housekeeping item to do first. We did have minutes from the May 12th meeting. I'm sure nobody even remembers the May 12th meeting by now, but
May, I don't even know when that is, Cheryl.
Can barely remember that. Does anybody have any comments, suggestions, changes, objections to the minutes? Hearing
Negative.
none. Can someone make a motion to adopt the minutes from May 12th?
I'd be happy to, Cheryl. I'll make the motion to adopt the minutes from May 12th.
Thank you,
I'll
Jean.
second it.
Thanks, Tom. Okay, minutes, all in favor?
Aye.
Okay, the minutes are adopted. I think at our last meeting, we briefly discussed updating the website, and we were going to think about who might do that because Chris Kelly had been doing that, but he's no longer on the committee. And so we need to have somebody else take a look at the resources on the website and test them because it's been a while since we've done that. So is anybody interested in helping us out with that?
Hey, Cheryl, besides testing them, I am not a website person, but what else do you need done?
By testing them, we only mean that you have to like call the phone numbers, make sure they're still responsive. Most of them are like either institutions or helplines or something like that, just to make sure that they are still good numbers. Sometimes we, we have agencies or facilities that might have provided assistance for people in crisis at one time. Maybe they're not doing that anymore. And we don't want to leave any resources, on our website that are not functional in case somebody is trying to access them.
Do you have a timeline in which you want that done by?
I don't, but that would be great if you could.
I mean, I have no problem. I just need, beginning of the year is a little crazy, but I don't have a problem going in and trying to call and figure out what's up and what's not.
Yeah, so maybe, but a month for the next meeting, or?
Oh, yeah, absolutely. That's fine.
Okay,
That's
that would
perfect.
be great. If you run into any issues, if you could let me or Kristen know if there's a problem, and then we can take it down or address it, because I don't want to leave anything up, that's not working.
All right, I'll go and investigate all the things that are on the website.
Thank you. That's
Not a
terrific.
problem.
Okay, Kristen, do you want to update us from social services program services, things we need to know?
Sure. Well, we are back in our building. Memorial Hall is open to the public. Yes, it's very exciting. The senior center is open. We are requiring masks to be worn in all public buildings in the town of Simsbury, and that does include our building as well. And it's been a little bit of a slow start for people coming back. I think, for some of our seniors to be comfortable coming back into public, but they're slowly coming back, and we are offering in-person programs. Right now, we are still on Zoom for our exercise, our fitness programs, but our other programs are in person. We are hoping to bring back our in-person Tuesday and Wednesday lunch program in October. And until then, we're continuing with our drive-through. Social services has been really busy. We haven't really missed a beat with the pandemic. All of our programs and services were done virtually. And now that we're back in the building, we're really excited to see everybody in person again. Program wise, right now we're finishing up renter's rebate. We're getting ready for energy assistance. And we are also actually this morning just started planning our holiday program. So things are going very well. We have a position open in social services. Our senior outreach worker position is open, so we're looking to hire for that. I encourage anyone that thinks that they might be interested to check out our website or to forward it to anyone that may be interested as well. I'm really happy that we're talking today about mental health. I think that it's very important. It's always been very important, but the need has increased throughout the pandemic. I can share that in our youth therapy program, we had a significant amount of referrals over the past year, a lot of referrals coming from the schools, and I'm also starting to see a lot of younger kids that are struggling. It's not just our teens, so I'm really happy that we've got Tom here tonight to talk about that very important subject. And if anyone is looking or in need of help finding treatment or finding a counselor, if you'd like to talk to us, we'd be more than happy to help you. And we also have a youth therapy program where we help to fund some of the therapy visits for our youth in town. So if anyone is in need of that service, I encourage you to contact us at Social Services, 860-658-3283, or you can email me. I don't know if we want me to try to say my very long email right now on TV, but it is on our website, and it's a clickable link. You can just click on my name and send me an email, and I'd be happy to try to help you. So that's how things are going.
That's great. And for the viewers at home, the way to find the community for care on the town website is to go through the social services page. So it's not a standalone page. If you go to the social services page, you will see community for care listed in the left-hand column. So we are all together on that. Does anybody have any questions for Kristen? Any issues you want to talk about for social services? Okay. So Kristen, we need to make a decision, I guess, about going back in person for meetings.
Yes, so we have a choice at this point. You can come back in person and we would just need to have our masks on, and anyone that joins us would need to wear a mask. And we could find a space, hopefully again at the library, or we can choose to remain virtual. A lot of our groups are remaining virtual at this time, mostly because of the variants. You know, the Delta variant is out there, and now there's a new one that has emerged in Connecticut. So I think a lot of groups are choosing to stay virtual at this point, but we do have that option to come back in person if we'd like to.
How does the group feel about that? I'm okay with virtual. You know, I love seeing all you guys in person. I know for some people it's more convenient to stay virtual, but I'm.
So one of the things that we've been exploring, Cheryl, with the church is kind of a modified setup where those who are unable to or uncomfortable, which is certainly understandable, you know, are able to Zoom, and for some folks, you know, being together in person is a really good thing. So, you know, we've kind of done a modified thing, and I wonder if that would be, you know, if rather than an and or, if it was a both kind of option that we could explore. I'm personally good either way. This is kind of nice because otherwise I'd be running around like a crazy person trying to get to my next meeting.
Yeah.
But, you know, something to think about. And thankfully, technology has come along so much through this time that sometimes that's an option.
Mm-hmm. I'm not sure we have the option to go hybrid. I know some committees have done that, and I participated in one at the library, and it's a very difficult technology setup for the town to do that. You have to have some people on a screen, some people in person, and it all has to show on one screen as a public meeting. So I'm sure Kristen can tell you that that's probably not going to be in the cards for this committee.
Yeah, that's fair enough.
That's
if we did go in person, I think we'd need a bigger space than where we were meeting at the library. That was pretty tight sometimes.
Yeah,
everybody was there.
We were in like either the WeTalk room or the other.
Yeah, and those were pretty crowded sometimes.
Yeah, and then there's the issue of the programs. So we had that come up with this program about whether or not, you know, it would be in person or not. And we decided that for now, it would be easier to do it virtually, but, you know, it was something I wanted to talk about with all of you. Hi, Debbie, are you joining us?
I am. I'm sorry I'm late. Hi, everybody.
Hello. Hey, Cheryl, I'm going to take this opportunity to hop off. It's good to see all of you folks. I hope you have a great meeting tonight and a great presentation, and I will see you next time.
All right. Thanks, Jean. We'll see you soon. Debbie, we were just talking about in-person versus virtual meetings for our next meetings coming up. We do have to make a decision ahead of time so that, you know, we can plan for that. We would need to get a room at the library or in another building and notice it that way. But, you know, as I was saying, we can go either way. I'm happy to do what the, you know, majority wants. Sarah, do you have a feeling that on that one way or the other?
Hi, guys. I don't know. I think we should go back in person. I mean, everybody in town is back in person. It is nice. I feel like you get more done when you're all in the same room.
Mm-hmm.
I vote in person, but you know, I know people have different challenges, so my vote is in person, but
Okay.
it's up to everybody else.
Yeah, I'd like to second that. You know, and of course we lost the minister here just a minute ago. I've done both, you know, where there's been a screen, but not obviously in a, you know, required in the public setting where I've done both, where whoever's not comfortable can call in on a screen and then the rest folks live, obviously with spacing, physical spacing, and certainly masking. At some point we have to get back together. We just can't not do that. You know, I think it's already been said that, our services are being stressed now with counselors and social workers because we don't have folks sharing air. And so the sooner we can get back to that safely, I agree with you, all of you on that. I think the better that we can. So, I think we go meeting by meeting. If we want to still go virtual for November, and then decide our next one after November is what, January or February, I think. And make a decision from there.
Yeah, we have November and then we don't have another one until January. So,
Okay.
okay. So what would you guys think about doing virtual in November and planning on going back in person in January?
I'd like to vote. I'd vote. We're in person in November unless something changes and that we,
Okay.
for the other reason, that would be my vote in
Okay.
agreement with the other things, that I've heard, and with a virtual option available to those who don't feel comfortable. And that we would have to maybe do I know it's tough, but maybe do an assessment of that decision. What's the November date? Anybody know offhand? I should probably write it down.
I don't.
November 10th.
The 10th.
November
I have it
10th.
right in front of me. Duh, I just put it down. 10th.
All right.
But just to share with you, and not to interrupt you, I'm sorry.
Oh, sure.
The only way to do a hybrid option for us would just be with the phone saucer. We don't have the ability to do a screen hybrid method. So you would either need to choose to be, I would say, either fully in person or fully virtual.
Can somebody not bring a laptop and have someone join in that way? I've conducted meetings like that. We're small enough. Well, you know what? That doesn't work for programming.
Yeah.
It works for our meeting.
You can't really, if you're spreading out with social distancing, you can't capture everybody and it gets kind of weird.
Okay. Is there no, okay. Right. Okay.
So,
okay.
Yeah.
I mean, I'd like to see us host an in-person event, even as a test run. And because we meet so infrequently, to wait all the way to do it. How about this? It seems way easier to plan for an in-person meeting and then have to shift to virtual than the other way around.
Okay.
That's personally my vote. January is an awfully long time away, and sort of
it is.
The other places are, from schools on down are living in a world of in-person.
That's true. With the schools and everybody's back.
That's just that's just my
Karen, how do you feel? We haven't heard from you.
I'd like to do in person. I think we should try in November.
Okay.
Connecticut's numbers have been good. Simsbury's, vaccination rate is great. And I think we see what kind of response we get if we have an in-person meeting. Are people coming? And if it's and then move forward based on that. If it looks like nobody's comfortable coming, then we can do virtual. As long as we have room to space out.
Right. Yeah. So, Kristen, did we have a room already reserved and then we went to virtual?
Yeah. So just two things I was going to share was that, no, we don't have a room yet reserved. So I will have to seek one for you. And then the second thing that I'll have to follow up on for you is I don't know if SCTV would be available to come and do the taping in person because many of our town groups are still virtual. And I don't know if that would be a hindrance to you not being able to tape a program. So if we were virtual, then I can do the taping. If we're in person, I can't.
We have in the past had SCTV has left us a camera and we have run it and then they just run the recording. So we don't usually, I don't think we've ever run one live. They're usually more than happy to leave the camera if somebody will run it or somebody comes and sets it up and then, we just bring it back.
Yeah, I'll see what they say and get back to you.
Yeah. I think Susan Ray at the library asked me what our plan was, which is how I kind of got onto this whether we were gonna, because I think at one point we put in a room reservation.
I'll have to double check. I
Yeah.
can't get on my laptop from
No, I know. I'm
on Zoom.
just throwing that out there because she sent me an email saying, "Are you using your room?" And I was just like, "Oh, we have a room." That's
Yeah. I'll find out for us.
okay. That'd be great.
All right. So
Okay,
we'll
so
be
in person. Assume we're gonna try to get a place to have it, and in person in November, which is a nice segue to we need a program in November. Tom really stepped up for tonight's program, so I am open to suggestions for November.
So I made a contact with somebody who actually works at domestic violence shelters. I know we've tried this program several times. I am trying to get a lead on that right now. And I'm following up again with this person tomorrow because they never reached out to me. So that's another possible program we could do. Another program, I just finished up my capstone on sexual assault. There's a program that's taught up in Canada, and it talks about teaching young women how to recognize predatory behavior and have responses to stop it. And so I know we had talked about in the past trying to do a program for prom, but maybe coming up with something along those lines of like safe dating coming up soon. I know we've done that before, but we've never really gotten it off the ground.
Yeah, and unfortunately, when we did the domestic violence one, we lost the video. So, anybody else? Thoughts on November?
If I could, Cheryl, you connected with me to the chair of the Spirit group.
I connected you to our healthcare person, Rick Brush. I should have mentioned that in the beginning. At our last meeting in May, we discussed collaboration with Spirit where we could on health issues, particularly mental health issues. And Rick Brush, who's on the Spirit Council, met with Tom. And I'll let Tom tell you how that went.
We had a very in-depth conversation about parity, mental health and physical health, and how its reach beyond for everybody, just not for a select few, which I thought was a really healthy conversation. So, well, whether it's November or maybe some program in the future that we could do something collaboratively. It is November. It's Tolerance Month. Oh. There's a Tolerance Day. And, I Googled it.
There are so many days.
Right. You pick them, right? So I was just thinking that maybe, along with what the Spirit group is doing, that might be an opportunity. We talked about maybe bringing in some of our elected officials to talk. I don't know, that might be tight. I don't, Chris Murphy is our senator's really big time on this whole issue. And I certainly would reach out to his office to see if he might be able to join us, or at least make some recorded comments or something along that line when it comes to parity and being sure that that mental health and physical health are equal and that everybody has access to it.
Yeah, that was one of the things that we found as a crossover issue with Spirit was health equities, particularly in mental health services and addiction and recovery services, suicide prevention services. So I think that is, a significant topic that we could jump on if we would like to, and certainly inviting, our senator would be a good way to highlight that issue.
It's just a thought, and
that's a good thought.
Our conversations were really, I thought were really healthy to that end. So just seed for thought. It might be too soon for November, but maybe something down the road. I do like Sarah's idea because I think that now that school's getting back in, and then, and I'm assuming kids are going to start dating again, but that maybe that also is a very timely subject. As we begin to share air again, and so I think that also applies too.
This may sound like a really sort of naive or overly simplistic idea, but given that, I was reading this really interesting article on a plane. I went on an airplane this weekend about memory and how we process and will process. It was sort of neurology based, the pandemic period, as opposed to singular events like 9/11, the way the brain sort of works differently, and the many different kinds of resets that people need, especially trying to sort of ease their way out of something that's a long period. Do we ever just do something that's as simple as, a reset, in which if we're heading into the holiday season, and there are holiday seasons for all, sort of stripes and flavors. This is an equity-based suggestion. It's not about Christmas. But do we ever do something that just reintroduces our town people to, as we head into the season, here are supports, services, and ways that you can help? I feel like that can hit on equity. It can hit on mental health. It hits on tolerance. It hits on all of those things, especially if we do an in-person meeting. Could it be time to do a new, do people really even know what's out there anymore? Do we ever do that in a holistic way, where we discuss our different, this is what's available in this town. Here's somebody to tell you what's available. If you need healthcare, here's your resource. If you need, if you're suffering in a domestic violence situation, here's a resource. Here's, sort of almost like going to like a college fair, only it would be sort of a presentation of, here are ways to help, get help, be of help as we approach the holiday season. I don't know. Like I said, it's kind of broad. But as I sit here and think, do I know where I'd go at this point? And I'm sort of supposed to be maybe kind of involved in things, sort of. I don't know. New people move in all the time.
It's kind of familiar.
That's just way too broad.
In May.
Yeah.
Right, Cheryl? We kind of did that in May when we talked about programs and services and response to the pandemic.
I don't feel like that was the same thing. To be honest with you, I don't really feel that hit.
I feel like what Debbie's saying is different than surviving COVID, but
I was talking about like transition and how does that feel, and what might that look like for you, which is different from and comfort levels. That's different from really, I'm talking about like being the mall of Simsbury, like literally, where we'd have 10 or 12 people sort of talk about.
That kind of sounds like health fair to me.
What? Is there another,
we have
another way to do, and is there maybe, is that covered in another way and overlap?
Well, like this weekend, the Chamber of Commerce is doing the Health Expo, right?
Okay.
And I don't know what type of services they're highlighting. I don't know, maybe Kristen, but it may be an interesting,
in a way,
what you want a program. I don't know if it's a program, but I like it as a project. Like,
what do you know more about? What do you want to know more about?
Yeah.
What do you want to know more about? How do we ask people that? How and through what means do we ask people? I don't know. I'm kind of a nuts and bolts person sometimes.
Yeah,
I think sometimes it's good to be nuts and bolts, but it's not to devalue the other topics at all, which are really the important ones. It was just a thought, though, heading into a holiday season.
I think that's really great. I know working pediatrics, when people used to call the office, I don't work there anymore, but families are really struggling with the price of mental health care. Like, where do I go for services? I know, at one time I knew what Granby offered, but I wasn't quite sure what Simsbury offered at the time. And I kind of worked at the time I lived in Simsbury and didn't know. So I do like, showcasing what Simsbury has to offer for mental health services and other things for children, because I've learned so much being a part of this program that I didn't know it was actually offered in this town for different citizens.
Um,
I think it is kind of starting to sound a lot like a health fair, which has a lot of value and are totally amazing and wonderful services. But I think if you were to plan something like that, it's going to be a lot bigger lift than trying to pull it off at your November meeting. And it's something that would probably have to be offered during the day when health fairs are traditionally offered when the folks that offer the services are working. So I don't know if it's something that really fits in with what this group can do.
Right.
That's just my 2 cents.
Kristen, doesn't the senior center do a health expo in the spring?
We have done them in the past. Usually in the fall, we do it in conjunction with the flu shot.
The flu shots. Oh yeah, that's right.
Yeah. This year we're just offering the flu shot. And when we do offer the health fair, it's typically services geared towards seniors.
Right. But maybe it's worth, when we're like, Amy's going to check our resources on the website, but for all of us to find those resources and maybe make a resource list, and then publicize that. We have social media, we have a website. We could send it out to all of the houses of worship have ways to communicate with their congregants. They're usually more than happy to share information, and we could do it that way.
Sure. I mean, it was just a thought. It sounds like a singular focus. More to Kristen's point, more doable. I get that part, just in terms of bandwidth of,
But I like the idea of focusing on younger people, because we do normally, like Kristen said, as a town, we have done this as a service for seniors, and it's probably time, given all the things that have happened over the last 2 years, that we also expand those resources to younger people.
I guess I see, we all know. Does anybody here not belong to Simsbury Neighbors Unite on Facebook?
I know.
If you don't, you need to, if you want to be taking the pulse.
Yeah.
Because I was sort of thinking of all of the things, the wants and needs and the stuff I see people asking, young families moving to town, or I need a tutor, or anyway, maybe it sounds like I might be making a little project for myself here.
I think that's a great project for you, Deb.
I'm doing, so maybe
you have your finger on the pulse of this project.
But I mean, I'm thinking of make a project, don't go making a bunch of suggestions and not do. I would
know. What I'm hearing is that is not a program, but it's a
right. Yeah.
It's more of a resource.
And
maybe a sort of a public communication project also.
Sure. We don't need to spend more time on it. I'm volunteering at a future date to do something, and I don't know what, but I'm volunteering.
Well, you know what? Maybe we've got a lot of people here with a lot of different connections to those type of resources. So, everybody, Sarah, Amy, all of you, Karen, have different, levers to pull when it comes to resources. So everybody write down, 3 things, 3 places, 3 people, 3 therapists, 3 something, and we'll come back and regroup and see what kind of a list we get and where the gaps are. And then, I think it's always good to update our resources. It is part of our mission of the Community for Care to provide resources and information to our community. So that's why we're here. So I think that would be great. So now we have homework.
Sorry.
Oh, never apologize for that. That's we're learning.
I love the topics, but I really am wondering how we give ourselves a jolt of positivity in a program. And that's not to sort of, we're all about sort of shedding the spotlight on tough topics, but I'm also sort of feeling the weight, as everybody does, of weighty things. And if we are to be in person in November, what might we do that's got some depth, richness, and enough gravitas while also being something that might actually be things that people would want to come in person and see versus the topic that's maybe a little too hard. And I don't have the answer to that, but that's kind of what I'm wondering.
One of the programs we did many years ago, which was one of the only programs I remember where we had it in a room at the library that was too small for the number of people who showed up, because it was very popular, and it was the mindfulness program. And because people could sit in the room and practice, the techniques that they were talking about, I thought it was a very successful program. And it was one of those things that you had to do in person, because, and the presenters were very good, and we could have, everybody could sit there and sort of try these, relaxation exercises and techniques and talk about what it means, to focus, being in the present. It was a great program. And I think that's a really effective in-person type programming that's not, too, focused on negative.
I like it. And I think it's really timely, like we were saying, with people re-entering back into society post-COVID and students going back to school. And as you said, Deb, approaching the holiday season, I think that might be something really beneficial to our people. And it's one that, if we can get the large room in the library, you can still spread out.
Yeah. Because I remember we were in the smaller room and we were packed. I mean, that was...
I love that idea, and that ties really nicely into sort of advertising it in a very upbeat, how not to, lose your mind during your holiday seasons. Back with, you thought you missed them all. Now you're dreading them coming. Like something that spins it into holidays, come learn, hands-on techniques to soothe your soul, calm your spirit, and, baste your turkey or whatever. Just, I can sort of see how that could be really cool. And that sounds sort of useful and positive, and
well, and anybody can do it. It's one of those, all ages can benefit from that, which was nice. You could bring your kids, or you could bring, teenagers could come, or whatever. It was a very successful program.
We had, just as an aside, tying into that, at social services, we had a therapeutic goat program, and we had an amazing response. And we're bringing.
Oh, the library will love that.
I vote for the goat.
It was really awesome. We're bringing them back in the fall. I don't think I can get her to come out for a 6:30 at night program, but it's something that when we have our fall program, we can advertise again through Community for Care.
Yeah.
But people really like that kind of stuff. And I think right now that is appropriate to what they probably need, what we all need.
Does anybody know somebody who might want to be a presenter for that type of program?
I do know somebody. I know Pam Sickinger at the high school. I'm not volunteering her, but
well,
Amy
must know her.
Yeah, Deb, let me reach out to the school counseling department at the high school, because outside of Pam, there's Donna Cannon and a bunch of them.
Right. No, I mean, I had,
and
I know
Grantland.
Pam specifically trained in mindfulness, and that was a real thing for a while. She tried to launch, and I know she can't do it. Yeah, she might know resources.
She does that. So let me reach out and see if they're interested in coming to do a presentation. They all came the last time. Are we thinking of doing it in the same kind of format, share some styles, share resources?
Well, and, share some, techniques that you can work on, what the basic premise is of it. I mean, I know a lot of kids are hearing that in school now, and their parents probably don't understand it. So,
right.
If I may, I just did some research here on my computer, and it was 2017, and I actually found the flyer.
You did? See?
From the mindfulness. It was a panel discussion, and it was Simsbury Community for Care, Kathy Ernest, school psychologist, Grantland Rogers.
Yep. Donna Cannon.
Pamela Sickinger.
Yep.
Donna
Cannon.
Cannon.
Yep.
They were
And
terrific.
then Journey of Yoga, Mallory.
The yoga people, yes. Mm-hmm.
Mallory Girano or something like that. All right, so there you go.
They were.
I wonder if
great.
they'd be, Amy, I wonder if they'd be, willing to do it again, because what a dream team.
Yeah,
Yeah,
we could put the band back together.
And Grant Rogers, he's
And let me reach out, because the middle school does a big mindfulness program too now, through school counseling. Hang on one second. Bella, you're fine. I'll be back in a second. Yes, I will follow.
Okay, so just to be clear, we're all good with that for November for an in-person. We will need to have the big room at the library or the Terrafil room, one or the other, to do that type of thing.
Yeah, and then if we do connect with the yoga studio, Cheryl, if there's a fee, you and I can talk offline if we can accommodate that.
Although I suppose could we do it in the auditorium at
It's possible.
if the other two aren't available?
It's possible. As
All
long
right.
as it's not rented out and my
Yeah.
food still isn't there.
We'll keep that on the back burner.
Yeah.
Really, really quickly, just a couple things. How long? And we're looking at the 10th to start at 6:30.
Yes.
And roughly how long?
We usually go, I mean, it depends. We've gone over anywhere from an hour to 2 hours but more along the lines of an hour and a half. When you have so many panelists, you need more time, for everybody to do sort of presentation type work, and then to actually do some of the exercises, with the audience, it takes a little more time to do that.
The library closes at 8.
Right. So like I said, we've usually run right
6:30
into
to
8 o'clock. So
Yeah.
All right. I'll give them. Okay. Thank you.
we can start, we could start earlier too. Like if we started at 6, we can do that. Since we're going to all be there anyway. Okay, I think that's a plan. I think the other suggestions for programming are good ones. And do we want to think ahead to January so that we can start, at least have a format in mind?
And just Cheryl, doing my due diligence, quick time check. We've got 10 minutes before the program. So if you do need a few minutes for Tom to go over anything.
Okay. Well, let's keep that in. If anybody has any other suggestions for programming, you can always send me an email, whatever, we can do that offline. As long as it's not a reply all. And if you have, people who might be available to do that type of programming, Sarah, if your person is available, say for the January meeting, we might want to feel that out now to see if she is. I'm up. I just made an assumption that it was a she, but it's
You are correct. It is.
Yep.
Can I just make one thing? And I think it comes from, from School and Equity. We talk a lot about sexual assault in women. Can we just make sure that it talks that it can happen in men in all kind of relationships? So we make sure that we're just don't narrow down to one's specific gender, that, while it might be here, that we just need to, can happen anywhere. And these are the things that can happen and how to prevent.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Excellent point. Yep. And Tom, I think we should go back to the health equity discussion with Rick and maybe think forward to like March, we go from January to March. So that gives a pretty good span of time to plan something like that.
Yeah, especially if we're going to get, if we want to get.
If you want, if you want a
and
senator
talk.
or somebody, that's good to get those dates in there.
Yep.
Have we
Okay.
thought about reaching out? Sorry, have we thought about reaching out to like the police department? Did we have a police officer that was on our committee and ask about what he's seeing the big needs are in our community? Right
He
now?
is right here, Chris.
Hello.
Hi.
Hi. So I had to jump out and back in for a few minutes. Yeah, no, I'm available to help and assist in anything that you guys want to discuss or any topics that you feel are relevant that would be in the realm of the police department.
Officer Davis, are you okay with if our member has a question or needs some information, can they contact you directly through your email?
Absolutely. Absolutely.
I think we're getting a lot of feedback. If,
Absolutely. Can you still
Okay.
get feedback? Okay.
yeah, Cheryl, I think one of you needs to mute. All right, try it again.
Yeah, absolutely. They can reach out by email or by phone. My phone number either or my.
Great. Thanks, Chris. So everybody will see that on your email list. Okay. So I see I've managed to run up against the time no matter what. So, Tom, what do you need to know before we go switch over into our program?
Kristen and I have a couple setup things to do, but other than that, we should be good to go.
Okay. Kristen, do you want to go dark for 5 minutes and come back, or is that?
Yeah, so if everyone that does not need to be part of a conversation with Tom, because we are still being recorded, if you can mute and turn off your screen, and that'll give you a break if you need to stretch your legs or anything.
If you want, run, stand up, stretch, come back. 5 minutes.
And then.
Oh, you know what? Somebody moved to adjourn the regular meeting.
Oh, thank you.
So moved.
Thank you. Second. Okay. All in favor?
Aye.
Perfect. We're adjourned.
Hi.
5 minutes.
All right. So Tom, I haven't hosted a meeting on Zoom in a while, but I think that I know how to give you permission to share your screen. Let's test that now.
Okay, I'm gonna go. It looks like you've got me already as a co-host.
Okay, so you can go ahead and when it's time, you can start your sharing.
Can you see that?
Yes, I can.
And there's the beginning.
Perfect.
You can leave that on.
Then I don't have to put up the sign that I made that said we'll be right back.
There you go.
All right. Do you need anything else, or you want to take 5?
Well, we got 5 minutes because there are folks that are going to log in, so we can give it 5 minutes. I'm going to go get some more water.
All right. I'll see you in a minute.
Great.
Good evening, everyone. It's 6:30 and my name is Cheryl Cook. I am the chairperson of Simsbury's Community for Care. And we are very pleased tonight to have Tom Steen to present a program from the American Foundation for Suicide Prevention called It's Real, Teens and Mental Health. If at any point during this presentation, you feel like you are having, some type of an issue, then please raise your hand. Tom will try to address you. And I'm going to turn this over to Tom so he can explain how this goes.
Thank you, Cheryl, and welcome everybody. See, we have 9 or 10 folks on for today's presentation. So thank you for joining. I think today's program, which will last about 45 minutes, maybe an hour, will hopefully open your eyes to how mental health affects our teens today. It's done very nicely, it's very current, and it's really a great presentation for all people of all ages, not just our young people, because it gives us insight, and I think that's really important. This a program was developed by the American Foundation for Suicide Prevention, also Jeb Foundation, and some other partners to really make this I think an extremely important and really excellent presentation to really educate and communicate what mental health is all about with our young people.
Tom, I'd like to just remind our viewers that this program is being recorded. So if you are uncomfortable proposing any questions with personal information, I just want you to be aware of that before we get started.
Thank you, Cheryl. Yes, that's so important. And at the end of today's presentation, I'll put out my personal information. So if you have any further questions, you want to reach out to me via cell phone or email, I'll certainly be more than happy and willing to answer those questions for you. So let's begin. Teens and mental health, it's real. What we plan to learn today, as you can see, and the imaging is interesting. Mr. or Mrs. or whoever brain this is will be kind of our character today. But more importantly, it really is. It's really to learn about what mental health is, learn about signs and symptoms of when somebody's mental health is deteriorating or going south or it's just not good. How to start the conversation, because it's not easy. We're going to learn a little bit more about that today. And how to get help. I think we'll learn a couple things that we all can do despite our age on getting help. And I'll touch upon some resources. We have a lot of local resources, and I'll point you in that direction as well. And really end today's training with some important kind of things that we can do as far as self-care, so that we take care of each other and take care of ourselves as we go through not only making sure our physical health is well, but also our mental health. So what is mental health? As you can see on your screen today, there's a lot of points where what mental health is, and certainly it's important. It's just as important as your physical health. Everybody has it, from the absolute young, newborns, all the way to seniors. It's on a continuum. People don't feel happy all of the time. And we'll talk a little bit about that. And certainly, and it's certainly very complex. But what it isn't is it isn't a sign of weakness. And our society, unfortunately, does kind of portray that, that well, somebody's mental health is not quite right. Well, that maybe it's because they're weak. And that's just not true. It's not shameful. It's not all in your mind. You can't get rid of your mental health problems by pulling up your bootstraps. Certainly won't be negative, and especially in young people, you just don't snap out of it. You really need help. You really need care, and you need your friends and your loved ones to be open and share with you, so that you can get on a better journey of health, despite your age. But today we're going to talk mostly about youth, because it is really important, especially in the times that we're in. There's many factors that affect our mental health, and as you look at your screen, you can see relationships, environment, genetics, physical health, diet, losses, especially when somebody has died because of a mental health disorder, or maybe has died by suicide. All of these affect our mental health. They might not all be present, or maybe only some, but we should always take them all seriously when we look at our mental health. we would be remiss if we didn't talk about the connections between physical and mental health. As you can see in this diagram, they cross over, they intersect. And you can see to your left that, cramps, stomach, high sugar, dizziness, all of those things that are kind of directly connect to physical health. And then on the other side, you can see where mental health, anxiety, depression, overwhelming stress, feeling a burden onto others are all things that connect to mental health. But those things in the middle that you can see, headache, stomach, mood, sleep, resilience, stress tolerance, appetite, very important appetite, are all key things that show that they interconnect. And so somebody that's struggling with their mental health is probably having physical problems as well, and vice versa. And that's really what this slide shows. And for young people, it's clearly appetite and sleep and mood. For young people, these are the things that kind of pop out when somebody's struggling. And as I said in an early slide, it's a continuum. From one side, the healthy, to the other side, unwell, and how they all interact. So a person in a normal day might feel well, but during the day there's some challenges, and towards the end of the day they're not feeling so well. So it moves. That's what the continuum is all about. To where you're really feeling good and happy, things are going well, or sometimes things are not going so well, and it slides you to the other side. It's understanding this continuum and how it relates to your overall health is where it's most important. And yeah, as this slide says, no one feels super all the time. And if you do, I congratulate you, because in my 65 plus years, I had some really good times and some really not so good times. And how we deal with them are so important. And the people around us, and which is what we're going to learn today, can help us get through some of those low points. So certainly we can enjoy and celebrate those high points. So to do that, we really need to know the signs. And so these next series of slides will show you what the signs are all about. And we have some interesting videos too to view as well, to kind of pull it all together. Talk. Somebody who potentially is struggling with their mental health are talking about it. This has been proven time and time again. They talk about it sometimes in kind of coded or kind of secretive kind of ways, but they become negative, or they feel hopeless. That they just can't get through the challenges of their day, or the things that they're feeling about, or all kinds of things that folks could be expressing that they're struggling. And then there's behavior, and these are a little bit easier to see because harming themselves, cutting, burning. Any one of you, for those young people who are watching today, if yourself or your friends are exhibiting this type of behavior, it's really important to get help. And taking unusual risk, I think this picture is pretty cute. Somebody putting their finger into a beehive, but it could be any kind of unusual risk taking that was not normal for that individual. Is a sign, and something that you should be cognizant of, so that you can have a conversation with them. And then certainly irritability, just not being themselves. The simplest thing that could easily kind of set them off, are all kinds of things that we just need to be sensitive about when it comes to behavior. And then mood. And I think when we talk about mental health, the first thing that comes out of folks' mind is, it's all about mood. And no, as we turn, it's talk and behavior too. But here's the mood things. They're daydreaming all the time. They're not focusing, and they're cutting themselves off from other people. It's not spending time with others, kind of withdrawing, if you will. And sometimes that our friends who are struggling are embarrassed about the fact that they're struggling. And so they withdraw, they pull back. And certainly anxiety, anxiousness, worried all of the time, beyond what they normally usually are all kinds of ways that that people through their mood can exhibit that they might be having a hard time. So the key thing when somebody's struggling with their mental health, especially a young person, a teenager, is talking. Is having the conversation and being willing to have that conversation and not being afraid to have that conversation is just so important. Starting the conversation is so critical that a famous singer or songwriter, and I hope I don't mess up her name, but her name's Billie Eilish. And I did listen to some of her YouTube. She's a great songwriter. So let's listen to what she has to say about starting a conversation, which is the key to help supporting somebody that's struggling with their mental health. So let's take a listen.
When you think of your mental health journey, what comes to mind?
What a question. I think when people hear remember to take care of your mental health, they think that everyone else is, and that's not at all accurate. For me, I'm trying to learn still to make sure that I stay okay. You know what I'm saying? But I just answered like 40 questions in one.
That's great.
It doesn't make you weak to ask for help. It doesn't. It doesn't make you weak to ask for a friend, to go to a therapist. It shouldn't make you feel weak to ask anyone for help. And you should be able to ask anyone for help. And everyone has to help someone if they need it. Starting that conversation, you don't have to make it super serious right away. You say, how are you feeling? Like, are you okay? That's what you say. Are you okay? Ask somebody. That's what they, and yeah, I'm good. Really? Are you actually good? Like, sometimes you don't even have to say anything to someone for them to know they understand. And they don't have to say anything to you. Sometimes it's about a hug. It's about somebody holding you and telling you, not even telling you anything. That's what I'm saying. Holding you. The main thing I'm trying to say is that you should keep your ears open and you should listen. And I'm just dealing with it how I'm dealing with it, and I'm trying my best. Obviously, I'm not a trained professional in anything. I don't know what I'm doing half the time, but I have seen it, and I've been it, and even if it's just a little bit more comfort, that can really mean a lot to someone, because you don't know what is going on. Even in that moment, there could be something going on, and it's been like that for me. There have been certain people that have texted me right when I needed to be texted, saying they loved me and that they were thinking about me. And it really means a lot. If you or someone is struggling with mental health, you can get more information at seizetheawkward.org.
I think, well, from that video, and very well done, and really appreciate Billie's honesty for our audience today. That you don't have to be serious with somebody to get them to talk about their mental health. I think Billie really kind of brought that to the forefront, and just being there with somebody. You're like not even saying any words, just kind of providing a hug and then we're not therapists, we're not social workers, and so being there for somebody that we can be encouraging to them to say, hey, that, you know, I'll help, let's go get some help. I'll go with you. I'll be with you. It's all comforting to somebody who's really struggling with their mental health. So thank you, Billy. I think a very, very powerful message. And so here are the 5 ways to start the conversation. And you know, they give some examples. It can be awkward and sometimes, you know, uncomfortable, if you will. And there's a stigma around mental health in our society that makes it uncomfortable for us to talk about our mental health. And we should all learn and embrace that it's okay. It's okay. And when we all get to that point where we know it's okay, we can help those folks who do need the help, so that we can get them on that journey of wellness. And here there are examples. You can read them. And how are you? Are you okay? Seem a little frustrated today. What's going on? I'm here for you. Seems like something's up. Do you want to talk about it? Are all really good ways, kind of leaving an open-ended question without being too, you know, intrusive, but just letting that person know that you're there and that you're obviously sensing something and that you care. And I think Billy's comments in the video bring that home to us all. Something you can do to help be a little bit more comfortable with the conversation when a young person is struggling or one of your friends is struggling, listen and don't be judgmental. And let them know that you're there to help, that you can help, and that you care about them. And again, I've been Billy's video. She says, just you know, somebody texted her right at the right moment and just told her that they loved her. Might just be the only thing that can really help somebody get beyond. And you know that it's okay to validate somebody's feelings. Because when somebody shares with you their struggles and their feelings, they're real. Don't discount them. Be patient. And the power of listening here is so, so important. And then you can see the lists of don'ts. And you know, you want to jump to solutions. You don't want to try to fix anything, because we're not in the. That's what therapists and social workers do. They're trained to help people through difficult times. We're here as people who love each other to support one another so that they can get better. And some of these other points I think also are important as well. But you know, just be a good listener and don't jump to solutions or pressure on them to talk to you. Just sit and listen. It's the power of listening that will definitely help people through their struggles. And you know, once you had that conversation, and then you know your friend is opening you, or you're opening up to a friend, reinforce about getting help. But you know, let's go see the school counselor. Let's keep talking about what you're going through. And they've offered you information via trust. So care for that trust, and then being able to reach out to trusted adults. Research has shown us, not only for young people, but for everybody, that trusted adults are so key, or trusted individuals are so key in our life to help us get better when we're in a bad place. So knowing who those people are, who you can reach out to, is so important, especially when it comes to getting professional help. I think can go a long way to getting somebody to a place where they'll be better. So CZAwkward.org has given us another video that kind of shows that conversation, how it can be uncomfortable and how you can make it more comfortable. And so I'm going to say much more than that, other than play the video, because it's good.
Listen, you're my friend.
I noticed you haven't really been yourself recently.
Yeah, I feel like something's up.
How are you?
Are you okay?
Is there anything you want to talk about?
I just want to know how you're feeling.
And listen, even if you don't know what to say, I'm here to talk. No matter what you're going through, I just want you to know I'm here. I've got your back. When you want to talk, I'm here.
So you can see how many can you relate to that? I certainly can, because it is an awkward conversation, and so the examples that the video just showed us today are very simple, very non-threatening to get folks to talk and say, hey, what's happening? What's going on? By just showing that you care can help immensely for a person who's struggling. So let's do some what ifs. So what if my friend asked me not to tell anybody? Well, what the experts are telling us is to really avoid those kind of promises, because if somebody is really in a crisis and needs immediate help and attention, making that kind of promise could be a barrier to that. And as the second point says, I can do that unless there's something that makes me really worry about you. And good friends don't keep deadly secrets. And when somebody's really, really struggling, you've got to reach out for help. And if somebody is really struggling that you're talking to, let them know that. Let them know that you really care, that you're going to help them. You're going to go with them to get that help, so that the right professionals can be connected to that individual. You're not being disloyal if you have to share something. You're actually being the opposite. And I think good friends, when they're really, really worried, should reach out to their trusted adults to say, hey, I'm really worried about my friend. Here's what's going on, so that the right things can be done. Help can be connected. So try not to make a promise that you can't keep, but be honest about it, that, hey, if you're really at risk, if you're really at trouble, I'm going to have to reach out and get you some help, but that you will do that with them together. That's the key. So what if my friend tells me that they're being abused, experiencing trauma, or even having suicidal thoughts? They clearly might need more help than you can provide. Remember, we talked about that. We can't fix our friends' problems, but we can certainly help them with it by connecting to the people who that are trained and can help. And you can be that person who can connect into that help, and certainly you can do that through a trusted adult. You've heard trusted adults several times. It could be a teacher, it could be a faith-based person, it could be an aunt, an uncle, it could be your parents. But no, and when I talk to young people, sit down and write it on a piece of paper. Who are your trusted adults in your life that you can go to with this kind of information and know that they will help you and respond to you? And just write a couple of names on a piece of paper and put it away in your safe place. So if ever you're at that crossroads and you're worried about your friend and you need help beyond what you can provide, reach out to those trusted adults. It could be a very, very important step to helping somebody get better. What if my friend becomes angry with me and stops talking to me? Well, their safety is the most important thing here. That's where trusted adults can come in. And I think that, and again, this is just my opinion, but you're not being a friend if you don't do something about it. And I would submit to you that friend won't be, once they're feeling better, won't be angry, continue to be angry with you. I think it would be the opposite, that they would be grateful that you stepped in and that you helped them. And then what if the friend rejects your help? You could share your own story and struggles that maybe that you went through, and so many of the things that helped you to get through, that continue to provide support. And what they really mean here is to communicate, continue to communicate. And the conversation doesn't always have to be how you're extend a helping hand. It's just merely a conversation that you care about them, and that you understand why they're struggling, and that you respect their feelings, and then encourage them to find someone. And this is where I think the trusted adults come into play big time. Could be a school counselor at your school, it could be a teacher, but certainly, truly do reach out. You'd be surprised. There's some people out there that really, really want to help. All you got to do is ask. And what if I start feeling overwhelmed about my friend's problem? Well, first of all, I got to take care of yourself and keep your day-to-day consistent. Pass that information on to your trusted adult. And be honest about your own feelings. Like, gee, I'm really worried about my friend, and now it's bringing me down. Be honest about it. Reach out, get help, have that conversation, which I think is so important. Communication and education is a very, very powerful thing. So if you're struggling yourself because you're trying to help a friend through some of their own troubles, be sure that you take care of yourself as well. So let's talk a little bit about getting help. Getting help is really, I think, the easiest part. When you get to the point where we're, we seize the awkward, we're having the conversation, we recognize that somebody's is struggling, or we recognize that we're not in a very good place. Here's how you get the help. And here's that valid and trusted adults that we've been talking about. Reach out to them. And you can see the list: the parent, school counselor, physician, any trusted adult in your life. It can be an aunt and an uncle. It could be anyone. But do reach out for help. So important. And what does treatment look like? Treatment can get people better and back to their day-to-day activities. That's the goal. When somebody's in that dark place and just needs some help to get out, talking to someone that you trust is key. Therapy, medications do work. Medications have come a long way, especially here in the past half a dozen years or so, that they truly work. But that has to be done by a professional, and which is why treatment is so important. And sometimes it's just a short-term thing to help one feel better for their mental health. Times it takes a little longer. The fact that you're taking action, doing something about your own feelings, or helping another friend who is struggling is key. Is certainly the key part of getting better, and that's treatment, and that's what treatment does. So a little bit about self-care. As you remember in our agenda today, there's self-care, things that you can do to keep your mental health in a good place. And so as you can see on this particular slide, mind, soul, body, and surroundings, these all work for anybody, regardless of age. And certainly, setting a goal, writing a journal is good, read a book, drawing is a good way to express your feelings. The feel-good social media, not the negative social media, and set yourself some boundaries, ask for some help. Dancing, go for a walk, or your surroundings. Listen to music. When I'm feeling blue, I get my song list out of some of my favorite songs, and I just put my headphones on. No, they're earplugs now. You guys know what you call those things. I don't. And they could get within yourself and just listen. Self-care is just so important when it comes to mental health. Doing something that you enjoy. There is a through therapy, some therapists recommend creating kind of like a hope box, or a place where you put things, so when you're not quite feeling right, you can go into that box or into that place. It could be a stuffed animal, it could be music, it could be poetry, it could be things, or it could be where you keep your journal, so that you can write in it. And again, it's about self-care, taking care of yourself. What works for you? Only you can only decide that. Is really the key here. Self-care, very, very important. And here's some if you're all watching this, you take your phone out and take a picture of it. Here are some places where you can go get some help, and regardless of your age. So you can see the National Suicide Prevention Lifeline. There's also a system in Connecticut called 211, and there's a social worker on 24/7. If you get on to their automated system and press 1 and then press 1 again and be patient, you could get a social worker and you can ask them the questions. I'm worried about my friend, or here's how I'm feeling, and you can get some help. The suicide prevention hotline and the 211 line here in Connecticut are one and the same. So I certainly recommend you could call the 1-800-273-TALK, but it's better to just, if you're going to make a phone call, to just dial 211. But more importantly, especially for young people watching today's video, it's all about texting, right? So, you can text by, in the subject line, writing talk to 741-741. I'm going to give you even a better example. Write either home or CT in the subject line to 741-741. A trained counselor will text you and will answer any and all your questions. And they're available 24/7. Great resource, and many young people are using it. The other thing on this slide is the Trevor Project. This is an organization that works with young people from the LGBTQ+ community. Absolutely excellent place to get information, to talk with folks. And they also have a text line. You text START at 678-678. They also have a chat too, that you can communicate with the folks there. Great resource for you to reach out to. And then RAIN, which is the National Sexual Assault Hotline, they're available too, and that's also a great resource. And some additional ones. And we were talking today about the American Foundation for Suicide Prevention, who's put together this presentation. To find a mental health professional, you can go on that national website, and it puts you right, and there's a place to go to Connecticut. But if for young people, reach out to your trusted adult, reach out to your parents, reach out to the school. They have great resources that you can tap into. Seize the Awkward, which is the organization that created today's videos, which I thought work really good. To Write Love on Her Arms is another organization. Not Okay app. There's an app out there using. And NAMI organization has a whole special section for young teens, young adults that you can also tap on as far as additional resources. So before I close, I just want to say that it took us about 40 minutes to get through today's presentation. I want you all to know that that there are many, many people in your life that care about you, regardless of your age. But I'm talking to the young people today. Know that that we all care for you, and that if you're struggling, or if you have a friend that's struggling, that there's all kinds of help out there. All you got to do is reach out. And don't forget that little exercise I suggested today about writing 2 names of trusted adults. Put it in your purse or in your wallet. Just write the 2 names on a piece of paper. They could be a great resource for you when that moment comes, when you do need some help. You can reach out to the folks, and I know for sure they'll help you. So in closing, as an older gentleman now, live here in Simsbury, raised 3 sons here, and now certainly thinking about retiring at some point. But there's a reason why I do that, this kind of a training, and it's because, I lost a son to suicide because he was struggling with his mental health. We didn't know that until after he died. His name was Tyler. He died in 2009. I always share his story when I do any of these presentations, because what you learned today could very well easily be used to help somebody so that they don't get to that place where now they're thinking about taking their life because their struggles are so hard. Take the lead, have the courage to know that you can help your friend, or you can help yourself by just reaching out and getting help. And we lost Tyler because he didn't know how to reach out for that help. So I'm hoping that you will too, so that we can save the Tylers of the world. So again, thank you for listening to me today and this presentation. Oh, by the way, Tyler went to Simsbury High School, so he was a local guy a few years back, but he was certainly a local guy, and certainly miss him a lot. So here's my contact information. Thank you for being in today's presentation. There's my email address, tom@steenconsulting.net, and that's my phone number. It's my cell number, and yes, old guides do text. So if you want to text me, if you have any further questions, or you just need some help or assistance after listening to today's program, I'm certainly there. But don't know, as you learned today, that there's a whole bunch of help here in Simsbury. You just got to be willing and ready to ask for it. So thank you, and good luck in your future endeavors.
All right.
Thank you so much, Tom. That was terrific. I know on behalf of all of us and everybody watching, it's great information and heartfelt. And I just want to say to parents who might be having a hard time starting the conversation with your teen or young adult, there's help for that too. And you can always call our social services department here in town. We have, and I didn't know this until I started doing this type of work with social services, is you can actually get a referral from social services and receive some therapy referrals. And Kristen, I don't know if you want to touch on that as just a point for a resource.
Yeah, thanks, Cheryl. I'm Kristen Formanek. I'm the Director of Community and Social Services for the town of Simsbury. And as Tom said, there's a lot of terrific, wonderful resources right here in Simsbury that can help anyone that's struggling with mental health issues. And in particular with our youth under the age of 18, we have a special program that's funded through our Youth Service Bureau grant, which is provided to us by the state of Connecticut through the Department of Children and Families. And part of what we do with that grant is to help connect our youth with therapy. Therapeutic services, and we have providers that are local to Simsbury and contracted with us, and we will help connect you to a provider. Our goal is to connect you with a provider that will take your insurance, and we do pay for the first 5 visits. So that helps with anyone that might be struggling financially and anyone that might be having difficulty accessing care. Things have been really difficult through this past year with the pandemic. A lot of people are struggling with mental health issues more than ever before. And we've also seen that there's a backlog in our service system. There's just haven't been enough providers for everybody that needs help right now. So we do ask everybody to be patient when you're looking for a provider, but we will help you to find someone as quickly as we can. So if you do need help, please call us. We're at Eno Memorial Hall. Our phone number is 860-658-3283. You can also email us if you Google Town of Simsbury Social Services, and my name is clickable, and you can send me an email and we can start the conversation. Thank you.
Thanks, Kristen. So unless, Tom, did you have anything else to add before we wrap up tonight?
I do not.
Thank you. Thanks again for a really informative program. And thank you all for being here, and feel free to share this information with your friends, your kids' friends, and anybody who might need it. Don't be afraid.
Amen.
Thank you all.
Thank you, everybody.
Thank you for joining us tonight. Have a good night.
Good night.